welcome. I just want to welcome everybody to this month's AP Town Hall. We're going to have a conversation for Black History Month. My name is Kendall Bens. I'm a course director for Advanced Audio Editing Techniques. And today we have Brandon Egerton.
Hey, hello everybody. Great to see you.
Yep. Brandon is Education Director for the Audio Arts, and congrats on your promotion.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I can't seem to get away from working for you.
You know, I planned it that way. I love surrounding myself with amazing and talented people, and you certainly fit the bill. So you might get a little bit away, but you're not getting too far away from it. So.
It's nice to have you, and it's nice to be able to have this conversation with you for Black History Month. And you know, when I was asked to do this, I was super delighted to be here with you and be able to talk to you, and just run through, you know, your background if we can.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, I you know, certainly appreciate the opportunity to come speak. I love connecting with students, man. My life's desire is helping be a stepping stone for others towards the dreams that they have for themselves. I'm a product of that myself, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about, you know, the journey for me in terms of getting here. But yeah, I've been here at Full Sail for about 12 years now. It's 24 years for me now in the music industry. So my career got started right out of college, back in 1999, way back in the day.
Don't say that in the classroom.
Yeah, I know, right? In 99, I wasn't even born.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, the 90s were a great era. You know, it was a beautiful era, I believe, to get brought up on in terms of music, and a great launching pad for me in terms of getting my music career started, and was fortunate to work for some really amazing people during that time of you know, at EMI Records and my A&R background and all that stuff. So it all prepared me for, you know, this moment of being the education director here at Full Sail. It's such a privilege, such a great opportunity before us, you know, to do that, and I'm looking forward to this season ahead.
Gotcha. So where did you get your education?
So I am a graduate of a school in North Carolina called Elizabeth City State University. It's an HBCU located in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, out towards the coast, not too far from the North Carolina-Virginia line. And I actually found out about the school by way of my interest in wanting to pursue something related to the music business. I remember being you know, in middle school, high school, I just couldn't shake this music bug. You know, whatever I knew, I did. We'd all get that question, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? For me, it was always something related to music. I couldn't always, you know, picture exactly what that was going to be. You know, I thought for a minute maybe it was to be an artist or, you know, some different things like that. I quickly figured out, okay, I probably don't have that amount of talent, you know. But I found out about a degree program called Music Industry Studies at Elizabeth City State University. And so it was one of the few schools in North Carolina at that time that had a degree program involving the music industry or the music business. And so that grabbed my attention right away. Went and pursued my 4-year bachelor degree there. And that last semester of my senior year at Elizabeth City State, had an opportunity to go do an internship. And that's how I actually got connected to EMI, pursuing the internship opportunity. Required me to move to Nashville, Tennessee, and, you know, that came with its own, you know, opportunities and you know, trepidations, but then also some, you know, I felt like I was a part of the industry even as an intern at that time, and so it really helped. Those early days helped shape really who I am today, and so definitely a big part of who I am.
Awesome. So, what kind of work did you do at EMI?
Yeah, so I initially, when I got hired, so I did my internship for about 4 months, but I officially started in EMI that summer after I graduated, and my first job was radio promotions. And so my responsibilities essentially included building relationships and maintaining relationships with radio stations around the country. And so I would call up these program directors and music directors at all these different stations in these big markets, and track the airplay of our artists' music, and set up promotions and promo tours and things of that nature on behalf of the label and our artists. Got to spend some nights on a tour bus and all those things that you kind of dream about, getting into the industry. I don't know that I'd want to do that so much nowadays, but it was great the first year or two of my career, getting to travel from city to city on a tour bus. And so that was the first year and a half of my time in the music industry at EMI. And then I was promoted to the A&R department, and so that's what I did for really the balance of the decade that I was at EMI, being involved in the artist and repertoire side of things, helping develop our talent, overseeing the production of our artists' releases, getting my hands dirty, and working with the some of the best producers and writers and musicians, engineers, mixers that the industry has to offer. So it was quite an experience, as you can imagine.
So that A&R work, was that across different genres, or?
Yes, so that's a great question. So my primary label I worked for was a label called EMI Gospel. The label now is known as Motown Gospel. So EMI was one of the big four record companies at the time. Back then, now there's big three. So EMI was actually bought by, part of the company was bought by Universal, and the other part was bought by Sony. But the recorded music side, being Universal, that label now is called Motown Gospel. So that's the label that I worked for, initially when I first got going as an A&R guy. The beauty of being connected to a major is you have access to the best the industry has to offer in that regard. So I'm hiring. Rodney Jerkins and I worked together. We've still got a great relationship today. But our first project of working together was a Kierra Sheard album. Way back when in 2004, 2005, 2006, somewhere around there, as her first project. And so being able to work with producers from multiple genres, when you do that, they bring their own flavor, if you will, in terms of their expertise to the production. And when you bring a producer on board, you're bringing them on to be able to deliver, what they've known for, their sound that they're known for. And part of that A&R's job is understanding what the producer brings to the table and how that marries with the talents that the artist brings to the table, and knowing how to make those. It's matchmaking in a way, and finding those right songs that are necessary to help put that artist on the map. If they're a new artist, or if they're an established artist, you certainly have that pressure of delivering that next great hit.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha. I'm kind of learning something as you explain of what an A&R does, because I would have always thought that would be the job of an executive producer or something of a project or something like that. But okay.
Yeah. Well, we can for anyone that doesn't know. I mean, I could tell you a little bit about what that. I get that question sometimes of like, what is an A&R, or what does that daily job look like? And I always tell students when I talk to them about it, I say, you have to know enough about a lot of things to be a successful A&R person. And what I mean by that is, on any given project, you're interfacing with, and I'll name off as many of them as I can come up with at the moment, but obviously the artist, the artist management, you've got the songwriters, you've got the producers, you've got the engineers, you've got the people who run the studios, you've got the publishing division, you've got your royalties, you've got the accounting department, you've got legal affairs, you've got the marketing division, you've got sales, distribution, not to mention within your own team, you have a marketing team that's expecting you to hand them something that they can do something with. And so there's a lot of, a good amount that you need to know about all those different areas to be able to interface. I'm no entertainment attorney, but I'm expected to know enough about what a producer agreement consists of. you know, because I'm having conversations with the producer and what their back end points are going to look like and what their advances are going to look like and how many songs we're talking about producing. Same thing with an artist. When we're having preliminary conversations about potentially signing an artist, I need to know, you know, some of the details in terms of what the terms of a particular agreement is going to look like. Now, we have a legal affairs team that they're going to dig in and they're going to take our little one-page agreement and they're going to turn that into, you know, 90 pages or more, you know.
So it seems like A&R is more of that connective tissue.
It is, yeah. That's a great way to put it. Okay. That's a great way to put it, because when you look at it, you have the business side and you have the creative side. Mm-hmm. It's oil and water. There's no way around it. You've got the business people who they're investing a lot of money, a lot of resources in a particular project. They expect a return on that investment. You've got the artist side who is obviously very protective of what they do. They don't always understand the business side of it, which is why having great management is important. And then you have this A&R person who's in the middle of it, who really, for me, it was all about trying to maximize the artist's potential. You know, if we signed a particular artist, it was because we believed in creatively what they were doing and felt like if we were to wrap our resources, our machine around that particular artist's creativity, then we could take things to the next level. And so I cut from a little bit different cloth, because some A&R people are more like, no, it's my vision and I want to mold you and shape you into my vision. I'm a little more from the other side of like, I like what I see in terms of your potential. Now let's see if we can move that to the next level by connecting you with and collaborating with, you know, some of the best people in the best positions that we can put you in. And that's ultimately the job of an A&R person. It's to, yes, deliver a project on time and on budget, but it's also about helping all the people involved put their egos aside for the betterment of the project and what's necessary there. So
that's generating a lot of questions for me, because it makes me want to ask you, how do you get the artist to buy into that?
If you figure that out, let me know. No,
that's the job, right?
It is. It always amazes me, because even in school, I wasn't the best. I wasn't the straight A student. Mm-hmm. I made B's and some C's here and some A's there. You know, I worked hard, you know, at what I did, especially once I got to college. But I wasn't. If you just looked at grades, I wasn't the one you would have picked. Mm-hmm. But I believe I outworked my classmates, even in college. I had to put it in because I didn't have that extra thing. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I realized that is critical in the music industry is your ability to embrace and cultivate relationships, connect with people, gain trust from people. That's a big part of the production process. Why does an artist who can sing circles around me, I'm not a singer by trade, although decent, you know, but why do they care about my creative thoughts in terms of that process? Well, there has to be a level of trust there in order for that to happen. They have to feel that I have their best interest at heart, while also understanding, as an A&R person, I work for the record company, you know, and likewise, there has to be that trust and that track record from the business side of things for me to be able to bridge the impasses that may come, bridge those gaps that may be there, and deliver the project that is expected. Now, we don't have any control over the commercial success, you know. I think that gets lost in it sometimes. I mean, we all like to win Grammys and been fortunate enough to be a part of a lot of projects that have enjoyed that level of success, but that's really not why we start that process to begin with. It's just creative individuals getting together and wanting to, you, as an A&R person, you're allowing the space for the magic to happen, you know, in that regard when you get creatives together. And so there's no room for ego. There's no room for, well, I got this many this and that many that, and I can do this. No, it's just about getting the best people that we can get together in the space, and let's see what happens. And sometimes there's some shiny hardware on the other end of that. Sometimes it's not. It's not indicative, I don't think, of the work that went into it. You know, we're ultimately proud of the work that we put into the project, and that's when we can walk away with our heads held high that we did the best we could in that sense. So.
It's like you're in it for the art, not really the trophies.
Right.
Or anything
Yep.
like that. I
Yeah.
can
The
understand.
trophies help. Don't get me wrong,
They help
but
future work.
yeah, you're right. It helps get some more work.
And speaking of trophies,
Yeah.
let's talk about yours though.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much, but
Yeah.
I heard you have some Billboard stuff.
Yeah.
Some
It's
Grammy stuff.
it's
Stellar.
well, you got a few of those too. Yeah, it's really the product, as I was saying before, of team.
Gotcha.
And I think anything, whether you're talking sports, whether you're talking entertainment, whether you're talking business, whatever, fill in the blank. The success of something comes down to people's ability to work together.
Gotcha.
In so many cases.
I totally understand.
Yeah, and that's what it is here. I mean, I've been blessed and fortunate to be a part of some really great teams, some incredibly talented people. Yes, the awards are there, man. I look back sometimes and I'm like, man, to date, 25, 26, Billboard #1 projects and 16 or 17 Grammy projects and all that. I mean, who's counting, right?
Yeah.
But I look back at it and I'm like, this is a kid from Lewisburg, North Carolina. I have to, people ask me where I'm from and I'm like, oh, well, I'm near Raleigh. It's like half an hour from Raleigh because no one ever knows where this little town is.
Oh, I understand. I'm from a small town in Georgia. so I
See,
get it.
you know exactly what I'm talking about. But at the core of it is someone who was just committed to the dream that we have in our heart. It's the same thing that we talk about with our students. It's the
Yes,
same thing that our students show up, at our doors here at Full Sail in pursuit of this dream, right? And I was fortunate to be surrounded by every step of the way people who were willing to care for me, willing to look out for me, willing to help me move myself, help me move to the next level in things. So when I look back at college, it's the same sort of thing. There's groups of people, not even connected to the industry, but they're a part of this journey. They're a part of who I am and what I've been able to do so far in my career, family, industry colleagues, mentors that I have, both within and without the industry. They're just a part of this, man, and it is cool and pretty humbling to sort of look back on that. But I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
We're just getting started as far as
sure
I'm
hope
concerned.
not.
So,
I sure hope not.
yeah.
What you were saying about creating these different relationships with different people, I can definitely see being here at Full Sail, those relationships, because they have come in handy on our campus. You know, sometimes I've been working late and see a nice little 2-seater sports car pull up.
Come on through.
Like, is that Tye Tribbett?
yeah. Tye, that was a. It goes back to what we were saying earlier about the importance of maintaining and cultivating relationships. That was a product of a phone call that I received from my former boss at EMI at the time, and Tye was signed to EMI at the time, and he was looking for a place to work and collaborate, and I invited him to come over to tour campus, and like so many other people, professionals, who've been to campus and they see what we have to offer and they're like, oh wow, I gotta, I think I want to figure out a way to work here. And
Absolutely.
so it's the same sort of thing with him, and true to form, like we were saying before, we just got in a space, let him do his thing, start working. Darren Schneider was a huge part of that. He's engineered that project that we worked on with Tye from start to finish. And where it went after that, that's up to the consumers to decide, and everywhere else. And then we look up and, there's Billboard, ended up going 3 times, 3-time Billboard #1 off that particular project, and a Grammy nomination, as a result of it. So
nice.
it's a great picture, I think, of possibilities, when you get creative people together and create the environment for them to do their thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just sitting on a bench outside
Yeah.
on a break, and he pulls up, and I think Darren was out there. Me and Darren were just talking.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, let me introduce you to Tye.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yep.
snap. So,
Yeah.
That was, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I thank Darren for that as
Yeah,
well.
good, absolutely.
But
And it's an endorsement too, I think, in terms of what we do here at Full Sail. I mean, one of the goals is always to, and we spoke about this a little bit earlier, for our students to create these opportunities for them to see productions, in this particular instance, productions happening on the highest level. It sets the bar. You know, we're all used to what we're used to in terms of our perspective that we have and our perception that we have on things. But anytime, and I'm the same way, anytime we can have that enlarged, you know, and see that being done on a greater level, we're better for it. It's the same thing on the production side in terms of audio. Anytime we can see real professionals functioning in their gift, and we can provide those opportunities for students, you know, I want to be able to do that.
I absolutely agree with you on that, because I would imagine me growing up, my perception of what the music industry was and how production, you know, way off. So I would imagine a lot of our students are going through the same thing, and need to get that perspective, that close-up view of it. And, I'm glad to be in a place that can offer that to the students. And, but speaking of, how did you end up getting here?
Oh man,
University?
So that's a great question. So, man, really back in towards the end of my time at EMI, there were these two Full Sail grads, Jarrett Dyson and Cameron Hilson. I still remember these guys. They would come in my office often talking about Full Sail. They were recording arts graduates from Full Sail. I wasn't familiar with Full Sail, didn't know anything about the school at the time, but they would come to me talking about Full Sail all the time. And I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting. And so you fast forward a bit, a few years down the road, my wife and I are looking for opportunities to potentially move here to Florida, to Central Florida. And I keep seeing this name, Full Sail, you know, pop up, and I'm like, okay, that's that school that Jarrett and Cameron were talking about. Looked into those opportunities. Ended up taking a gig here as an associate course director in the music business, entertainment business program. So moved here in 2011, taught a couple of classes over there, the entertainment music distribution course, as well as the course called Music Business Management. In that degree program, found out about the opportunity that had become available for program director of recording arts. By that time, I was very familiar with what Full Sail was about, and so it sounded like a great opportunity to contribute, you know, my expertise to if the fit was right, and fortunately for me, they felt like I was the right fit for that position. So I functioned in the program director role of recording arts here at Full Sail for 11 years, and the top of this year promoted to the education director of audio arts position here. So I'm excited about that. I'm grateful, just like my industry career being built on having great teams of people around me, it's no different. You know, the recording arts team here is really amazing. The other degree programs, audio production, show production, music production, all amazing faculty and staff that support our students every day, and so I'm honored to be charged with, you know, overseeing those degree programs now, and looking forward to moving things even further down the road in the future. So.
I'd appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Plus, you got some big shoes to fill.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dana, who's my predecessor, Dana Round, he's credited, and rightfully so, with really all things audio around here. It's like he's a guy who was with us for 40 years. I mean, the school is barely, you know, just a hair over 40 years old. So he was here from the beginning almost, and so
I was surprised to hear he was retiring.
I couldn't believe
like
it myself.
He loved this place.
I helped him move stuff out of his office, and I had to go back after he left to go peek and say, he really did retire. I cannot believe this. But we miss him. But his presence is definitely felt around here every day. I mean, we see it in this facility that we're in here. We see it in the live venue when we walk in there, which he had a hand in building. Same thing about the audio temple on campus. I mean, he will always be a part of who we are here at Full Sail, but excited for him in this new chapter of retirement and him getting to do really only the things that he likes to do now is what I tell him. I said, this is a time for you to go, have fun and enjoy yourself and your family. And so texted with him last night as well, and he's doing great, missing everybody, of course, but ready to fill those shoes, no doubt.
Yeah, big shoes though. Big shoes.
Yeah.
It's all good, but I know you're up to the challenge.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it, and we were talking about shoes earlier, right? The way I see it is, we can attempt to fill some shoes, or the way I see it is we're just gonna get some new shoes.
There it is.
So,
don't pay more than you need to.
Yeah. Don't want to pay any more than you need to for some shoes. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. See if I have any other questions for you.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know if I have that many.
Good.
I think we covered everything I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Do you have any plans going forward for anything new as far as the audio work is concerned?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that we always want to do, and I love the fact that we're doing this with our online students through the audio production program, is, and I alluded to this earlier in terms of relationships and collaborations. Our industry is built on that. And so, understanding that we want to cultivate or continue to cultivate a similar environment and culture amongst our student body here. There's the separation at times in terms of you have our students that are on campus and you have our students that are online, but anytime we can figure out ways to bridge those gaps and to where our online students feel a part of what's happening here on campus. Our campus students have obviously had to figure out how to function online through the pandemic and going through their academics on that level. But I do think there's some ways, and AP Program Director Brian Smithers and I we're often having conversations about how we can make sure that the online students are a part of what we have going on here. So that's certainly a goal and a focus of ours, to make sure that whenever possible, we're continuing to bridge that gap so that our online students feel like, okay, yes, I'm very much a part of what's happening here on campus. Now, if you can make it here for Hall of Fame, which we have coming up here in a few weeks, absolutely get here for Hall of Fame. I mean, that's one of the great ways to just really experience what Full Sail is all about. I call it our homecoming, which
I'm going to second that.
Yeah,
so
which
any of you online students think you can get here on campus for Hall of Fame, it will be an awesome time for you. Trust me on that.
Absolutely. Well, I liken it to, and I know part of the conversation we were having earlier was about the HBCU. Part of that experience, if you're in school there, it is about homecoming. Like homecoming week is like the week everybody's looking forward to, and it's people coming back who are, the alumni coming back and being a part of things and big celebrations and events and all these things. Full Sail's Hall of Fame week is very reminiscent of that for me, being an HBCU grad. It's just a great time of just hanging out on campus, seeing our current students, connecting with our alumni. We've had more and more alumni coming back. Many of them are not even part of formally a part of the Hall of Fame week. They're not speaking anywhere. These are grads that have maybe graduated the last, 3-4 years, but it's made such an impact on them that they want to come back and rub shoulders with and provide some inspiration.
Within probably the last decade.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
I still connect with some of them, and they're like, oh, Hall of Fame comes.
Yep.
I'm on my
It'll
way.
be there. Yeah. It's such a special thing. I love that time for us. It's a lot of hours, obviously, but I love that time because of the excitement and the inspiration that week brings for our students. So if you've never been a part of it, do your best to get here. It's quite a treat, and it's one of those things that will help propel you throughout your time as a Full Sail student and help launch you into your career, as a whole. So.
Absolutely. I've heard a lot of alumni talk about the relationships that they created just being at Hall of Fame.
Right.
relationships they created as students,
Mm-hmm.
and then end up getting work with somebody they met and actually coming
Absolutely.
back. So I've seen a lot of situations like that, man. And plus, Hall of Fame is just an all-around good time.
It is.
Just an amazing time.
Yeah.
I find myself trying to be on campus for as long as I can on
Right.
those days.
Yeah, yeah. It's such an inspirational thing. One thing I think about too, if I put myself in the student's shoes, thinking back to my college days and comparing it to the opportunities that exist today for today's Full Sail student. Again, I'm not a Full Sail grad, but I look at it from the perspective of like, man, if I was a student here during my college days, I have ideas for a lot of things that I want to do. I remember wanting to be involved in productions and have my own company and all these things. Some things I've gotten to certainly do already in my career, but I look around and I see that we touch literally every area of entertainment. And so if I'm thinking strategically, I'm sitting here like, man, my next, some of my business partners could be here. Some of my clients could be here. Some of my colleagues are here. Like don't look at it. I think students sometimes will get distracted a little bit by thinking, oh, they're just learning like me. Like think a decade from now, think 20 years from now, some of the people that are your classmates are going to be running stuff. Some of them are going to be producing some of the best music that we've heard. They're going to be, the who's who of, a decade from now. We just don't know who that was. As I said, I was probably would have been the overlooked one, in my class, because I didn't seem to possess that thing. But you just never know who that next whatever is, and so you just give space for that to happen. Strategically, you kind of look around and be like, let me build as many relationships as I can while I'm here, because these things could very well benefit me, some years down the road.
I see some alumni getting some jobs in some very cool places that I'm even jealous of. Like, oh my God, how'd you pull that off? And then they just become this professional, like now, like I'm like, this is a colleague here.
Right.
Like we're having conversations that we were not having when they were a student, that like on the level. I was like, oh wow.
Yep.
It's amazing how some of these students have graduated and stepped up to.
Absolutely. Yeah, we love seeing it. Love seeing it. And you see you guys especially, because you guys have been in the classroom with them, working more intimately. You see that thing. It's like artist development for me, whether it's signing artists, and it's like, man, there's something there. Let me develop that. You see that in students, and they may not see it in themselves yet, but we all need someone who sees that, who recognizes that thing, even before we do a lot of times. I'm the product of that. When I was in college, it's the same thing. There were people who believed in me before I believed in myself, but they wouldn't let me quit. Wouldn't let me fall off the bandwagon, wouldn't let me walk the wrong way, kept me out of some issues, because there was something special that they saw there, and I'm certainly grateful for it.
Yeah, you made me realize what I'm missing, what I miss about teaching.
Yeah, come on back, Brian. We'll share him. He can still do online.
I'm good,
yeah.
Brian. I'm good.
Let's talk later. Yeah.
I missed that only one thing.
Yes, indeed.
That's cool. That's cool, man. It's been good. Look, man, this conversation has turned out a lot better than I expected.
Hey,
I
man.
learned a lot of things.
I can say that my career's turned out a lot better than I even expected.
It is like that,
the beauty of it, right?
Sometimes you're like, I didn't really do much for my life, and when somebody have a conversation with you and you have to explain it, you're like, wow, I think I did pretty good.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You really just get up. You get up every day. You do the best you can. That's what you do. You can't. The things that you can control or have control over, you do the best with them that you can. Yeah. There's things you can't, and there's not so much you can do about that. But you do the best you can every day, and you fortunately can look back sometimes and be like, okay, been a part of something.
I absolutely feel like a lot of students are probably going to get a lot out of this this conversation here. I mean, I got a lot out of it.
Oh, wow.
I personally got a lot out of it.
I appreciate that.
Gave me some clarity in some areas about the industry and how some things work on the business side of things.
Good.
I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Wondering if we generated any questions by now or not. Probably not.
Okay.
Okay, maybe we didn't generate any questions yet.
Okay. That's fine. This means we answered them all.
Yeah, seriously.
It's all good.
Let's see. When is Hall of Fame this year?
We got at least April, the week of April 17th.
Okay, April 17th. Okay,
yeah.
cool. Nice and warm time there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a good thing there.
Mm-hmm.
Any special things? Nah, I know you have to be able to let me know if anything special is planned or anything like that. But
Yeah.
I know I had a question in here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to dig through and trying to find out real quick.
You know, while you're thinking of that, one thing I did want to say too, in related, because we're, being, Black History Month and all, and as I mentioned, having attended an HBCU, there's a similarity to me, and I kind of hinted at this in terms of how it benefited my career. Like, it was one of the best choices that I made, even though it was a choice that I can't take credit for, in the sense of like knowing what I was doing. It was just the path in front of me. But this was a small school that I went to, and it allowed me to be amongst a smaller community. It allowed me to be seen by my instructors, develop some mentors, along the way, and I see it similar to what we have going here, at Full Sail. It's not a massive school in the sense of like, this massive student body, but culturally, I think the importance of that is it allows us the opportunity to get to know our students a bit better. It allows the students to get in here, discover some things about themselves, and help form and shape them as they move into their careers, outside of here. And so one of the things I love hearing is from students who've gone on and graduated and gotten going in their careers a bit. And then the penny drops, if you will, in terms of some things that we've been trying to teach them along the way and show them along the way. And they get outside of here and realize, okay, man, this was a safe space for them. And that's really what we want. That's what I had during my college days of just enough space for me to be myself, just enough space for me to discover who I was becoming as an aspiring professional in the music industry, like all of those things. But I had enough people around me that would help me kind of stay on, come this way, no, stay over here, stay here, But you have to open yourself up to that. And so that's my encouragement to students often is you find those types of relationships, whether they're instructors, whether they're support staff, people that you've met along the way that can help you do that.
I would absolutely agree with you on that, seriously, because, being an instructor here, it's a lot of tapping and kind of keeping people on track and stuff like that. And I do agree with what you're saying about the small community and just creating those relationships. I still keep in touch with a lot of alumni. Yeah. And I'm just amazed of how close knit they still are with a lot of people that they were. There's a few of them I ended up doing some work for, here and there, and I feel like most of my socials is just past students that I'm still talking to on a regular basis. It's amazing me being able to sit there and watch and see what they've been going through. And I felt like he was just in the classroom, just like last year, and it was like you graduated like 9 years ago.
I feel the same way at graduations. It's like you just started here, literally. Yeah, I think part of the lesson too in that is you don't really know who you touch along the way, and I think as instructors, as leaders, we have an opportunity to inspire students and encourage students every time we connect with them. Now, yes, there's correction and all those other things that can come as a part of that we all need from time to time, but we just never know the impact that we can have on other people. And oftentimes it's some obscure thing, you don't even realize it, but you have a student come back to you at some point saying, man, you're such an inspiration to me, or love what you said about this or that. And I take it all the way back to, the reason for that. It's just caring. It's just care. As instructors, the employees here, we have to just care enough that for our students' well-being and for them in cultivating the dream and caring about the dream that they have in their hearts. And we also want to inspire care amongst our students as well in terms of them caring about the dream that they are in pursuit of, because what often happens is you don't realize how much work is associated with chasing that dream, and that can get discouraging, but we're here to help kind of keep them encouraged, and help them, show them the way along that path with the time that we do have with them.
Absolutely. I get where you're coming from. Like we were talking about earlier, that, through my personal journey of figuring out how to do these things here, there were only like a handful of schools I could actually find to do this. And it kind of had me to a point where I had to teach myself a lot before I actually sat in the classroom. And the reason why I care so much is because I don't want any of our students to have to go through that process. I mean, I bought 10 books, but I'm sitting there like, which one is right?
Yeah.
But the difference is that they actually can talk to different instructors as they move through.
So true.
And have people really kind of point them in the right direction or help them make those decisions. But when you don't have anybody to kind of bounce off of and say you're doing it right, you're doing it wrong, I mean, that uncertainty will keep you at a certain level for a long time.
It absolutely will. And it's tough when you talk about creatives a lot of times too, because the nature of creatives a lot of times is to be a bit more withdrawn and to be a little more to yourself. I can't tell you how many times I've heard from producers like, man, I don't care about the industry. I just want to do my own thing. I'm just going to, like, you're going to lock yourself up in your studio and never come out. No, you got to engage with other people. You got to do that. You can't escape the industry in that regard. And so
but that's needed on both the creative side and
absolutely.
Absolutely. Just being able to, part of being a good producer is being a good people person. Right. And I would imagine it for A&R as well. Obviously.
Got to know how to move in a lot of different circles, and it doesn't have to be your dominant thing per se, but you got to know how to turn it on when you need it. It goes back to the goal that we set. If we're talking about a project, it's really to put forth the best project that we can together. It's not the gold record or the platinum record or the this or that. It really is to just put our best foot forward in terms of the project that we're undertaking. And so, as I said before, as long as we can do that and we look back on it and feel like we did that, then we feel good about it and we move on to the next thing.
Absolutely.
So,
Like I said before, I really hope our students are getting a lot out of this, because I just didn't imagine the conversation going this way. So there's a lot of good insight.
Good, absolutely. Well, I'm glad to do it, of course, and always welcome any opportunities to connect with our students, to share. I mean, we've all got my journey to Full Sail is different from yours, and yours different from the next person, but we all end up here, and there's purpose in that, I believe, and part of that purpose, I think, is to inspire our students, because their journeys here are different, and sometimes I think on the outside it can all seem together, you see the Grammy, you see this, but you don't see the process a lot of times, or know the hills and valleys that you had to get through to sort of get to that thing. And I think the more we can open that up for our students to be able to see that, they begin to realize, okay, there's some commonalities there. I'm going through some stuff. I'm maybe dealing with some things, but they've got through that. Or what? You didn't win a Grammy right off the bat? No, there's a process in terms of getting there. And so it's those conversations, and so, as I said before, that's part of my goal with our entire audio school, is to create that type of environment where students long for that, where the instructors long to be a part of that, and are willing to engage on that level. And I think when we do that, we're going to see some pretty special things happen. So,
I would agree. Well, I believe that's going to go ahead and conclude our AP Town Hall conversation for our Black History Month. We'd like to thank Brandon Egerton for giving his insight, his career, his
absolutely.
story.
This was so much fun for me. Call me back anytime, unless the students don't want me to hear from me anymore, then this is what it is. But I'm always happy to, to share anything I can in any way to help our students out. So,
Gotcha. Just want to remind all the students that we do this monthly, so make sure that you tune in and keep your heads up on your announcements. So we'll let you know when another one of these AP Town Halls are coming up. Thank you.
Great. Good. Red lights off.
Check one. All right. Hey, everyone. I just want to say from behind the scenes here, I want to give a shout out to the ABT crew and Show Pro for putting this on for everyone. They did an excellent job.
Indeed.
And, each month we do this for them, and it builds the skills that they
That's right.
need to succeed in their line of work. So
That's great.
it's always a great way to put them to work.
Great. Thank you, guys. Yeah, this was fun, man.
Yeah. That should have been my
It was like I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear what he was saying. I was like, I hope you hear what he was saying.